Hi, this is Polly from thefitmumformula.com, and today I'm going to be talking about how you can cut back and avoid eating all the cake when you're presented with opportunities to eat cake, because it's one of the favourite foods that all my mums and followers say they love and they wish was healthy, and they find it really difficult to hold back on. But everybody likes a bit of cake every now and then, but the problem is, like all refined carbohydrates and sugary foods, it's not very filling. It doesn't fill you up. It's very, very moreish. It's quite addictive sugar, not in the same sense as drugs, like some people will say, but it is quite moreish. And also, it's very easy to overeat because it's very calorie dense. And this combination of not being filling and being moreish means that it's quite easy to eat a lot of cake in one sitting. So how do you get around this when you're trying to be healthy and you're at birthday parties, somebody's brought in cake or donuts to the office, maybe it's Christmas, maybe there's just cake, maybe it's just a Sunday afternoon and somebody's made a cake and they brought it over for you. Now obviously you don't have to avoid all cake always, so I've got 5 tips here to make sure that you can sort of rein in your cake issue, if you, for want of a better word, and it means that you can literally have your cake and eat it. So, number 1 is quit the all or nothing approach. It doesn't have to be eat a massive slice of cake or eat none, because it's a bit of a shame to miss out, especially when it looks really tasty and you want to have a try of it, and maybe somebody's gone to a lot of effort into making this cake, so you don't have to refuse it completely, but neither do you have to have a massive slice. So there's lots of variables in between depending on what you choose and what's appropriate. You could just have a small slice, maybe you could just have a couple of mouthfuls, and that'll lead me on to point number 3, which is point number 2, the 3-bite rule. Now I don't know who exactly came up with this 3-bite rule, but somebody has figured out that basically 3 bites of something tasty like cake or pudding is about the right amount, so that you don't feel like you're missing out. You feel like you've had a taste, you feel like you've had some, but without it having much effect on your weight or health, because 3 bites is not going to be a massive amount of calories, even if it was the most richest, oiliest, calorie-dense chocolate fudge pudding ever. 3 bites is not going to add up to a massive amount. So see if you can get into the habit of doing that. Now this is easier if you're serving yourself, obviously. You can just serve like a tablespoon or so. If it's in a restaurant or somebody else is serving you, it is going to be a lot harder. But if you get into the mindset that that's what you have when it's a piece of cake, and you always have 3 bites, and that's just the rule, then it's a lot easier to stick to than on the spur of the moment trying to make a decision when you've got that in front of you and you've got your emotional side battling with your rational side. If you just have a rule where you have a 3-bite rule, then no matter where you are, no matter what you're doing, no matter what the food is, it's 3 bites, you'll never miss out, and it's not going to have an impact on your health in any way. So now, tip number 3 is eat before. Now, if I know that, say, it's somebody's birthday and we're going to be having tea and cake in the afternoon, I will make sure I have something filling just before that. So I always have fruit with my afternoon snack anyway. Sometimes it's vegetable sticks if it's something like hummus I'm having, but more times than often it is fruit. So I will make sure I have a decent filling portion of fruit very soon before we serve that cake. So the easiest thing is an apple. It's got lots of fibre. Fruit is very high in water, so it's bulky without being a lot of calories. It's filling, it's nutritious, and it will just take the edge off those hunger pangs. Also, having a glass of water and having warm drinks instantly, they seem to stay in your stomach longer and make you feel more satisfied and full than cold drinks. So that's where having a cup of tea with your cake works great, especially if you drink the tea or coffee before. And that's another tip, is caffeinated drinks. Obviously, too much caffeine is going to be a problem for everybody. No one needs too much caffeine, but caffeine can actually act as a hunger suppressant as well as lifting your energy in some people. So if you're eating because you're hungry and tired and that's why you're craving sugar, then having a cup of tea or a cup of coffee might take the edge off that. Obviously not such a good idea late into the evening because it might disrupt your sleep. but certainly having a warm drink and maybe a caffeinated one like tea, coffee or green tea might just suppress your hunger a little bit, meaning that you want less cake in the first place, and obviously that's going to make it a lot easier to not have too much. Point number 4, fill up earlier during the day. So if you made the decision that you would like to have a piece of cake later in the day, and you're not going to binge on it, but you're not going to have a really small slice, you're going to have a normal slice. And today, by today's standards, most people, a normal slice will still be fairly high in calorie, the portions people serve themselves. So what you can do is throughout the day, you can actually buffer that by having fewer calories throughout the day. Now this is very popular in a circle called If It Fits Your Macros, where people are actually calorie counting and counting how many carbohydrates, proteins and fats they're having. You don't have to go to that extreme. But for example, if for your lunch you would normally have, say, a chicken breast with a couple of tablespoons of rice and a large salad, maybe you could just skip the rice that day. Or if it was a prawn salad with avocado, maybe you could skip the avocado that day. And that way you're cutting out calories, but you're still having the protein and the fibre, because you should never ever skip on the protein and fibre parts of a meal. They're the most filling parts of a meal, and most people in my experience need to be eating more vegetables, more salad, more fruit and more protein. So that's something you could do throughout the day. Cut back on your calories, but make sure you're cutting back on the less filling calories and filling up on the filling ones, the protein and fibre. And finally, number 5, don't have eater's remorse. Similar to buyer's remorse, where you might regret doing it. If you're having eater's remorse, one of the most common things I see with people is that they feel really guilty after eating treaty foods, but actually this doesn't make them eat any better. This is one of the biggest reasons where people go, oh that's it, I've blown it now, I may as well just eat everything in sight, have pizza, more cake, whatever. And obviously that's completely ridiculous. It completely dismisses the point. It doesn't help anyone. So put it behind you, never mind, move on, get back on track ASAP. But I hope that was helpful for you. That was Polly from thefitmumformula.com.